Coordination, it's simply how we move our body in space. Another way of putting it is organizing body parts into complex movements.
We have Laura Kendall joining us this morning from Red Door Pediatric Therapy to tell us what age groups should be doing which things. So good morning to you,
Good morning.
Laura. And you've broken it down to us for us with fine motor and gross motor skills.
Yeah.
Can we tell us what the difference is there?
So when you think of fine motor, it's those smaller motor movements. So the things that we need to do to get ready in the morning, buttoning a shirt, zipping up a jacket, those all fall into that fine motor category. But when we think about gross motor, it's those big movements. Really think about sports, walking, getting to where you need to go.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
So we've been practicing this at home, and so with a fine motor, it's maybe grasping a piece of string, because with my 1-year-old, that's kind of the stage that we're at. That's
Right.
his fine motor. Or throwing a ball. Is that gross motor?
Gross motor.
Okay,
You got
it.
Okay, and you can tell coordination, or you can start spotting coordination at a very young age, can't you?
Yep. Everybody has to start with the basics. So if we think infants, you know, the bringing our hands to our mouth, reaching for a toy, grabbing our feet, those are the very beginnings, learning to roll, and then we learn to crawl, and then we learn to walk. So through that first year, we're really getting the basics of what our coordination needs to do. From there, we go to that 1 to 2-year-old phase. So we're trying to figure out, okay, we've got the walking down. Now how do we figure out running without falling over, without losing our balance? How do we figure out how to move our arms with that? So kind of putting all of that together, once we get that a little bit better, how do we step on a push car and ride some of those toys? So kids with push cars and things like that, they start with their feet moving together to go, and then they start alternating their feet. So one moves and then the other moves. So it's a little bit more fluid, and then we learn to turn. Those are all kind of those examples. Flinging or throwing a ball just a little ways. They don't really have a ton of aim or direction that they're throwing at yet, but just those initial skills.
So it's just basically the arm skill of being able to know when to release the ball, whether it goes left, right, straight, or back. It doesn't matter.
We just got to get rid of it.
Yeah, just got to get rid of the ball. There you go.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, now I have a question too, because as one of those kind of tightly wound moms that I can be sometimes, I'm watching what other parents are saying, their kids reaching those milestones at what month and everything. Now, how important is that when we get to the big picture of things? Because you've laid it out for us, infant up to 1, 2 to 4 years, you want to hit these milestones. Do we really need to be too concerned about month by month?
You know, kids are their own person, so they're going to have their own idea of when they're going to do things. If your kid is generally a little bit lazier, perhaps, maybe we're not going to hit it right at that month. Rule of thumb, if we're a month ahead or a month behind, we're okay. If we get further than that, then we would like to know.
Okay.
Even just to, you know, check it out and make sure that there's nothing more concerning that we need to look at.
Let's continue the escalation age-wise.
Absolutely.
Let's bring up the next graphic as far as riding a trike, riding with training wheels, those kind of things. That's a progression as well, isn't it?
So we hit that 3 years old age, and we're getting on a trike, off a trike. We're figuring out how to put our feet on the pedals. We're figuring out how steering works. So steering on that trike, are we running into walls? Are we running into objects outside? Jumping with our feet. First we jump with one foot leading, and then both feet taking off. We start galloping at this age, and then we start going up and down stairs with alternating patterns.
Rather than one step
That
at a
step
time,
two,
it is boom, boom, boom. You're heading up the steps. All right, and that should be about what age?
3 to 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So then we think 5 to 6 years old, we start getting a little bit higher level. So jumping on one foot, maintaining our balance while we do that. Things like skipping, so that coordinated step, hop, and then alternate sequence with skipping. We start to catch a ball a little bit more easily. Originally, we'll start catching a ball and corralling it to our chest, and then as that gets easier, we can catch it with just our hands. And then riding a bike with training wheels. So at that age, we're really learning on coordinating the brakes and the stopping component.
Right. The motor skills to understand what is coming up. I need to turn, I need to stop, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
We're down to 1 more minute. Show us what the older kids need to be able to do.
So think biking without training wheels, that balance component. And then as we get a little bit older, we have the higher level things. So catching a smaller ball, dribbling a ball, starting those sports. So shooting a basketball at a hoop, and then those other sport specific skills. So hitting a baseball with a bat.
Really helpful way to break it all down for us.
And
Thank you.
by the end of the day, you've got a Major League Baseball player.
You got it.
That's how it works.
If you do have any concerns about hitting those milestones, parents, families can reach out to you guys though, right? And how do they
Absolutely.
do that?
We're at Red Door Pediatric Therapy at both the Bismarck and the Minot locations.
Well, we got to give big kudos to you for making it in today. I know you said you're not that far from the station, but boy, the way the weather's been, we thank you so much for making the effort and getting in here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We'll be back with more North Dakota Today right after this.